Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. Today I'm looking at a brand new model by Rapido. I really love Lowmac wagons, so much so in fact that Bullman, my channel's mascot, is based on a Hornby Lowmac. But the truth is, he's only on a Hornby Lowmac because this model is absolutely useless. It is an awful model and I had no other use for it. And as Hornby often do, they've kept this model in the range for decades and it's now incredibly expensive. It's not even that affordable. Look at this, 30 quid for the thing. Absolutely ridiculous. And if you'd like to learn more about my grievances with the Hornby Lowmac, and if you'd also like to see what fresh hell they've dragged it through in the past, you can check out one of my reviews there. But when Rapido Trains UK announced that they were going to produce an all-singing, all-dancing brand new Lowmac wagon, I was obviously very excited. And they have indeed, and the model is now out. And here it is. And let me tell you, I've not had this out of the box, but I can already tell this is going to be miles better than the Hornby Lowmac. Just by looking through the front of the box, you can see how detailed this thing is. And of course, as is often the case these days, you do pay for that privilege. So the full price of the Rapido Lowmac is £39.95. That's pretty steep, isn't it? And at the retailers, it's available for £33.95. So for a bit of a comparison against what else is available, that's the same price as Rapido's Laureate Y wagon, which incidentally I didn't think was great value, so hopefully this will be better. And it's quite a bit more expensive than Hatton's/Acura Scale's Warwell wagons, which were incredibly detailed and high quality models for just £25. Well, as a much smaller model with fewer wheels, this Lowmac does seem very expensive compared with that. And expensive is fine, I don't mind high prices, but the models do need to reflect those high prices in their detail, quality and features. Hopefully this will do. So for the first time ever, hopefully I'll be looking at a super detailed and high quality Lowmac, which will actually work properly with modern rolling stock. Doesn't seem like too much to ask for, but we've never been granted that in the past by Hornby. So if you're interested in these, affiliate links down in the description. Let's get started and see what this is like. Fingers crossed this is going to be worth the money. Okay, so the Rapido Lowmac wagon. Really been looking forward to this one and finally it is here. So let's get straight into this. I'll show you the end of the box. There's quite a lot of these to choose from, but the one I went for is Lowmac, product code 929001. It is number 260863 and it's in the LNER Red Oxide livery. And like I say, lots of others to choose from in different liveries from different eras and regions. Do check out that affiliate link if you are interested. But I think we can open this up straight away and see what this is like inside. So let's see exactly what we get. All right, standard kind of packaging job. And we've got instructions, ooh, and accessories. That is interesting. We'll look at that in just a second. Let's see what we've got in the little instruction manual though. Okay, prototype history. Again, this is pretty cool for a wagon, isn't it? A lot of the times I will just open up a wagon box and find nothing but the wagon. Here though, we've actually got a proper write-up for the thing in real life. Pause and read that if you'd like to. And yeah, this is what I was just looking at, the optional wheel load. So I had read about this, but when I saw the word optional, I thought that meant perhaps it's an accessory that you can purchase separately, or maybe there's another more expensive version of the model that comes with them. But no, they actually do come with this model. So yeah, your Lowmac comes with an optional load of 4 wheel sets and carriers. These can be loaded onto the wagon as shown in the picture below, or you can use them elsewhere on your layout. Awesome. You can fix them on with PVA, and there's some acknowledgements there. So that, straight away, is kind of a point for value, isn't it? Let's look at those. We've got some fully weathered, rusted looking wheels. I don't know whether these are sort of metal wheels, the kind that you would see in a wagon, or whether these have just been tooled up specifically for this, but looking at the sort of ends of the axles here, let's get one of these out actually, because I might as well. yeah, you can see that the ends of the axles here have been designed to look like the real things rather than just the pinpoints that we'd get on model wheels. And yeah, they are actually made of metal, which is great. You know, that means they're quality, they're not just plastic. And also 4 of them will add a little bit of weight to the model as well, which is much needed. And is there anything else in this accessories bag? No, it doesn't look like it, so it's just the wheels and the sort of little caddies that they sit into to stop them rolling around on the Lowmac. Okay, well that's pretty good, but what about the Lowmac itself? No other accessories. So let's open this up. I'm really hoping that this will be a fairly hefty model because obviously there's not a lot of body to it. It needs a bit of weight really in order to feel quality. And look at that. Straight away, the finish on this is, I'm going to say bizarre, because I'm used to looking at Lowmac wagons which are totally plasticky looking in their finish. This has a bit of a quality look to it, which is bizarre to my eyes. It really is. Okay, let's lift this up then. What's the weight like? Oh yeah. So it's not dreadfully light, which is good. The main body of the wagon is plastic, but this sort of well in the bottom is a die-cast insert, so that's got some weight to it. And ooh, look at the underframe here. And yeah, the support structure here, this is all made of metal as well. So yeah, I would say the weight of this is a lot better than we've seen on the likes of the Hornby Lowmac and even the Rapido Laureate Y, which was pretty lightweight. I would wager that this is quite a bit heavier than that. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. The quality of this seems to be excellent. We've got the load of the rusted wheels, which look awesome, and I'll put those on in just a second. Yeah, for the moment, yeah, this is expensive, but you do seem to be getting what you pay for here. Don't think Rapido wagons in the past have been very good value at all. This one seems to be a little bit better with no increase in price, which is a move in the right direction, I reckon. But anyway, a bit of background on the Lowmacs, and then I'll show you a much closer look at this wagon. These Lowmac machine wagons have roots surprisingly far back to the Great Central Railway pre-1923, and over the years the design was modified by the L&ER post-grouping to increase the loading capacity of the wagons. These wagons, diagram 173, were built between 1943 and 1944 during the Second World War to assist with the heavy freight traffic of the time. 30 each were built for the LMS and the L&ER, with the L&ER ordering even more after the war. While these wagons were withdrawn from service in the early 2000s, many still survive today under preservation. So there it is, up close and personal for you, Rapido's brand new Lowmac wagon. And right off the bat, I'm going to say I think this is my favourite piece of Rapido rolling stock so far. Everything just works brilliantly on this. As we're going to see, the level of detail and the decoration, all of that is great as well. But what is also really good, and this is important from Rapido, is the quality. I think Rapido has given us cause for concern in the past because some of their models haven't been the best quality. The last few locos in particular I've looked at did have issues. But I'm pleased to report that this has none whatsoever that I can see. It is a truly high quality model. And I think the secret to that with this one is that Rapido haven't tried to do too much. I think in the past, particularly with that 15XX pannier, they really tried to put every little detail in, making it all separately fitted, super complex, which was great, but it was just far too much for the factory to manage, and a lot of them came out looking messy. I think with this model, Rapido have much better understood that compromise between what a model needs in order to look good and what is actually practical for the factory to assemble in their hundreds or thousands. For example, these little securing rings along the deck of the wagon, Rapido could have chosen to make these separately fitted, which would have been great, don't get me wrong. But could the factory have put all of those in? How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per side, so that's 12. Could the factory have fitted all of those separately without any wonkiness or visible glue every single time? Probably not. And do they look okay moulded like this? Yes, they do. But the wagon's not simple either, and it does have separately fitted parts where it really needs them. So these sort of loops here, would these have looked as good if they were moulded? No, not really, so these are separate, and they look good, and even though they are separate, they have been fitted well. The other great thing about this is that there's no small amount of metal on board. So this weighs in without a load at 48 grams, so nearly 50 grams. That's almost 20 grams heavier than Hornby's Lowmac without a load. That is astonishing, but when you add the wheels on board, this Rapido model then weighs 57 grams, which is almost double the Hornby Lowmac. So yeah, fantastically heavy to say how sort of slender this model looks. Anyway, let's talk about the decoration then, which is really, really great on this. As I saw when I opened the box, the finish is fantastic. It's got a really good sort of quality sheen to it. Satin finish right across the board. Lots of decoration as well. So we've got print work along the sole bar here. This builder's plate, I think, is just molded on and then printed. It's not a separately fitted etched one, I don't think. But the printing is so precise that it actually doesn't matter, I don't think. And obviously the fact that the plate itself is molded on means that it's always going to be straight. No opportunity to fit that wonkily, which is great. So yeah, lots of print work along the chassis here. The wheels have the white lining around them, which is really cool to see. And then of course the planking sections are separately fitted. They are die-cast parts, which I assume means that they could be painted before being applied to the wagon, which means again this planking looks spot on. You can kind of tell though that this die-cast deck is a separate piece. It kind of looks separate to the rest of the wagon, and if I look at it like this, you can see there is a pretty big gap between that and the rest of the model. So perhaps a little bit more refinement here would have made that look a bit more convincing. I think they've been a bit over generous on the fit for that part, but that's only a minor nitpick. So the moulding quality is absolutely fantastic. All of the riveting and everything looks awesome. The brake handle here is separately fitted and very fine, and of course that's been painted as well at the end. The buffer beams are very well detailed and all the accessories are basically fitted from the factory. So you've got the coupling hook, no optional coupling to fit to that, which I think is a shame, but there is a lamp bracket pre-fitted, we've got a vacuum pipe on there, and of course metal separately fitted buffers, which are sprung. The Laureate Y did not have sprung buffers, it did not weigh this much, and it did not come with a load. For the same price, this is miles better value. It makes the Laureate Y look like a complete rip-off by comparison. And that's before we've looked at the underframe, which is amazing. Look at the Hornby underframe here. Yeah, it's a weight with no detail whatsoever. This wagon from Rapido is fully detailed on the underside. So you've got the full support structure, you've got a separately fitted pipe which runs along the whole chassis, and then of course you've got all the brake rigging and such around the wheels, which is fully moulded and it looks completely realistic even under closer inspection. Very, very good. And then the couplings, a nice simple affair, no kinematics here because that would have interfered with the detail I think, so they're just gently pivotable couplings, which hopefully will do the job. And look at this, we've got a Lowmac without massive unrealistic D-shaped couplings. These are NEM, so you can put whatever you want into there. You can take them off entirely if you want to and fit knuckle couplers or whatever you want. Just that little feature, which is so ubiquitous everywhere, seems like such a big deal with this Lowmac because of course the Hornby ones don't have that luxury. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed with this. In terms of the load, these little caddies, they don't have a particular place to sit. They don't locate into a particular position or anything. So it's just a case of lining them up along the deck. And whether they will stay there unfixed, I'm not too sure. Perhaps if you take curves really slowly, they might stay there. But I think if you want to keep the wheels on there, you will have to follow Rapido's advice and fix those down. Because yeah, it's a smooth deck and they are going to sort of slide around. I'm going to see if I can get away without fixing them down, but of course if they just keep dropping off I will remove them. But yeah, with that, let's get this down onto the track, let's test the performance, and fingers crossed this will be fully fit for purpose. So here's today's test setup then. I've chosen the Bachmann V2 as today's loco because I've not run that for ages and it's gorgeous. And I've set up a whole load of other low loader wagons, including the Rapido Laureate. It's got a couple of war wells there, a few other bits and bobs, brake van at the back. and of course the Rapido Lowmac here. Now in terms of free rolling, the wheels and axles actually sit into proper separate bearings on this model, which is obviously an awesome feature. I'm not entirely convinced that it's necessary because I've never known a plastic bearing on a piece of rolling stock to fail over time, and I do think it's kind of an unnecessary extra expense, but these bearings will certainly make the models last longer than they would if they didn't have the bearings, and I certainly can't complain about the free rolling of this, which was really good, with the load all the way down Gordon's Hill, even beyond the first set of curves at the bottom. So yeah, perfectly free rolling, and the bearings I'm sure play quite a part in that as well. Okay, couplings then. Is this going to couple without an issue? Let me make sure the other couplings are lined up nicely. Yeah, they seem to be. So let me back up the V2, and first we're going to go for a Rapido to Rapido coupling. So that's the Laureate. How was that? Yeah, got that. Are they at the right height? Sorry, I just headbutted the camera there. But yeah, coupling's at the right height. Okay, onto the Oxford Warwell. Yeah, got it. Alright, so on the straight, couplings seem to be perfectly functional. They both worked there absolutely perfectly. Right, so I'm going to have to take this quite steady because, like I say, I've not fixed the wheels onto the bed here. So if I go like a bat out of hell, they're going to fly off on the curves. So if you don't fix them down, it's almost like a test of your driving. Got to keep things smooth and steady. So with that, let's see if I can keep them on board. And let's go for about that kind of speed on the V2. Alright, curves then. It's quite a long wheelbase wagon, so any issues? Let's see. The V2 has slowed down quite a bit on the curves because it does that, but this loco may not be adequate for this job. I forgot it did that. It's been so long, so I might swap it after this. But the Lowmac itself, no issues whatsoever, and the wheels have even... Goodness sake, did you see that? Yeah, can't say the same for the Hornby one, unfortunately. That's immediately derailed. Okay, let me get that off. Alright, so I've taken those off. I'm just going to go and grab another loco. Right, Oxford J27 then, for a loco that's got a bit of power to it, because apparently Bachmann's super expensive locos can't pull the skin off a rice pudding. But as you can see, there we have it, the Lowmac working really nicely around the layout. Very free rolling, so it's not putting much of a load onto your locos. And as you can see, it's handling curves without coming uncoupled or derailing or anything like that. It's a really good performer. But how is it over the points? So what I've also done is, you'll probably notice, I've had to pack the Rapido Laureate with some weights because it was just far too light to be at the front of the train like that. It was just derailing on the curves. So yeah, why they made such an expensive model so light, I don't know, but it's really good to see that Rapido have learnt from that and produced something that is far better value, I think, for the same price. Plus the load, you know, that's a really nice inclusion too. Anyway, let's see if we're alright over the points. We've got quite an odd collection of wagons here, so some of them may not be okay. I mean, the Hornby Laureate is even worse. It's heavier, but its couplings are just stupid. There's no springing to them. But they are okay by the looks of it. Over the points, Lowmac. Yeah, Lowmac's done it. Second points. Perfect. Bit faster in forwards then, let's see. Hopefully the wheels won't come sailing off. Up. Now, was that the Laureate or the Lowmac? Let me take the Laureate off because I suspect it was that. In fact, don't think the Lowmac's derailed at all. No, it hasn't. Let's just do that again without the lighter than a feather Laureate and just make sure that it wasn't the Lowmac. Let's try again. Or indeed the loco, I suppose. Is the loco still on? Oh man, this isn't going very well today. But through it all, the Lowmac has been absolutely perfect. So it's like an extreme test. Right, back up a bit more. We'll get there in the end. Okay, same again, forwards. There we go. It was the sodding Laureate then again, wasn't it? let's have some ratings then for Rapido's all-new Lowmac wagon, and I have to say I'm really impressed by this. Level of detail I've given 4.5 star. It doesn't get the full 5 because there are those gaps that you can see between the planking and the sort of outer sole bar, if you like. That doesn't look the greatest. Also, pity that no couplings were included for the coupling hooks. I always deduct a little bit for that. Otherwise though, everything else is absolutely excellent about this. I love the detail, I love the decoration and the finish. The quality of the moulding is excellent. It's also got sprung buffers. The underframe is probably the best I've ever seen on a low loader wagon like this. And of course also it comes with a load, which is really good to see. Performance I don't think needs very much explanation. I've given it 5 star. Everything about this is perfect. It free rolls very well. Couplings fully functional. No issues or derailments over curves and points. At all parts of the layout, this is perfectly stable, so 5 star, no way to fault it. Quality, I've also given 5 star. Again, I just can't fault it. Build quality, superb. It is a fairly complex model actually, and yet there's no visibly wonky parts, no visible glue, no issues or hiccups with the decoration. It is presented just perfectly. It's also got a lot of die-cast construction on board, which means that it's heavy, really heavy. In fact, with the load, almost double what you get on a Hornby Lowmac, even though the Hornby ones, if you get the Coca-Cola version, are almost the same price as this. That's quite crazy. So quality, 5. Value for money then, £39.95 is the RRP, and at the retailers you can pick this up for £33.95. Like I've been saying, compared with the Laureate, this is fantastic value, although it's not quite as good a value, I think, as we see on the Acura Scale Warwell, and I do have a review of one of those from the latest batch coming soon, so look out for that. So yeah, I think we've seen better value than this, but probably not from Rapido, and I do think this is the best value wagon I've ever seen from Rapido. Not because it's particularly cheap, but because you do get a lot for your money. So overall then, that is 9.04 out of 10, or a grade of A, which is very well deserved. Very good quality model, lots of detail, everything about this I think is more or less spot on. So into the logbook it goes, where it is top place, yeah, as it deserves to be, just above Bachmann's R&R crane. Very impressive. If you want one of these, I can highly recommend it. Alright then folks, well there you have it, my review of Rapido's Lowmac wagon. And I think I'm quite quick to say when Rapido perhaps don't get things quite right. But on this occasion, they very much have done. Everything about this is just awesome, I think. And so I'm massively happy to be able to bring that to you and say, yes, this is something I can wholeheartedly recommend. So yeah, Rapido absolutely heading in the right direction. This is exactly the high quality model that it should have been for just over £30 like that. So I'm delighted with this, and I'd actually love to see some of the others because, like I say, there's lots of these different Lowmacs on offer from Rapido in all sorts of different colours and liveries. And if they're all as good as this, and I see no reason why they shouldn't be, then this is a really impressive range of models, and one that I hope will do really well. So do let me know what you think about these Lowmac wagons. Have you got one of these from Rapido? And if so, which version did you go for, and what are the differences? Knowing Rapido, there will be sort of variations in this tooling suite, so I'll be interested to know what some of the other Lowmacs in this range do look like. But for now, thank you once again so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do comment down below to let me know about it, and drop it a like if you want to. Though I don't normally ask for that, but yeah, if you want to, sure. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon for another review. Alright, cheers everybody, you take care.